Board meeting, April 28th, 2020. Mr. Amico,
Present.
Mr. Charlone. I know you're here, he's muted.
I'm going to, he doesn't have video. Let's see here.
No.
I just unmuted Louis.
Mr. Charlone, we're taking roll call. You are present? He's here, I see him. Mr. Delvecchio? No. Mr. Desimone? Absent. Mr. DeVoe?
Here.
Mr. Giovanni? Absent. Mr. Limina?
Here.
And Mr. McKenna?
Here.
Okay,
All right, we're gonna go to the public hearing on Caddy Farm. Attorney Simeone.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the planning board. I intend to make a brief presentation this evening. As you know, Caddy Farm has been working with the Town of Saugus representatives and with your staff here in the city of Revere under the directorship of Mr. O'Brien. Caddy Farm, is, you need to know, is in good faith has been attempting to meet the concerns of the planning board relative to this particular petition for public dedication. And we believe that we should have some additional information from you to you other than the amount of information that I provided the last time we were together in February. So at this time, having spoken to Mr. O'Brien and we're working together, I think given the health crisis that we're having, the difficulties communicating and so forth, that we're better suited if we consent to the planning board's continuance request on behalf of Caddy Farm.
Okay. Members of the board, I need a motion for the to postpone Caddy Farm hearing to a future date.
I'll make the motion that we postpone it to a future date.
I'll
Everybody
second it.
Everybody, all in favor?
Aye.
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 okay, voted so ordered, it'll be postponed and continued to a future date of the planning board.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Attorney Simeone.
Mr. O'Brien.
Thank you, Attorney.
Okay. Now, we have a public hearing for the proposed zoning ordinance amendment providing for a new use entitled Brew Pub and further amendments to the existing use entitled Brewery, Distillery, or Winery. Any proponents?
Mr. Chairman, this is Frank Stringy, city planner. As I presented to the city council last night, brew pub is a new use we're including in our zoning ordinance. As you know, these brew pubs exist in surrounding communities: Revere, Everett, Chelsea, Saugus, Lynn, Salem. So a brew pub is an establishment which beer is produced and bottled on premises and for retail sale and consumption on premises. So there's no distribution, no consumption off premises. It's just a brew pub similar to what they have in Market Street in Linfield called the Yard House, or if you've ever been up to the Salem Beer Works, where it's a combination of restaurant use in pub brew pub. So under the new brew pub definition, this would be allowed by special permit in the RC1 district, which is along Revere Beach, north of Revere Street. It'd be allowed as of right in the RC2 district, where Waterfront Square presently is, in the southern end of Revere Beach. the PDD1 district, which is Suffolk Downs, the PDD2 district, which is the former Wonderland Greyhound Park, our general business district in the central business district, highway business district, TED district, which is basically Bell Circle area and the Lee Burbank Highway stretch. And also be allowed an industrial park. Now, the industrial park area is, right now, those two areas of the zone industrial park, one being the old former Necco site where Amazon distribution warehouse is, and the site where the Showcase Seminar is. So those are the districts that would be allowed. And now we would be adding a new definition to brewery, distillery, or winery. In this case, it would mean a plant in which beer, wine, or other alcoholic beverages are produced and bottled for wholesale distribution, including retail sale for consumption on premises and off premises. And these brewery, distillery, and wineries will be allowed by special permit in our GB district and central business district, and allowed by right in the RC2 district, PDD1 district, PDD2, highway business, TED, and industrial park district. So that's it for the inclusion of a new brew pub definition in our use table.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
go ahead, Mr.
I would
O'Brien.
also like to speak in favor of this change, as I did last evening at the city council. This clarification and amplification of our zoning has the full support of the Planning and Development Department, the Office of the Mayor, and indeed, in many respects, it was done at the behest of various city councilors. I also think it enjoys wide support. So I think it is very timely, and I would heartily recommend the planning board approving this change.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any more proponents? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close that side of the meeting. Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Now we'll move on to the next one, Frank.
Well, the next zoning amendment deals with a new definition again, and this is for mechanical parking systems. So by definition, a mechanical parking system is basically an automated parking system, which is powered by electric motors within a horizontal and vertical conveyor platform system that slides or lifts each vehicle to its storage location and allows all vehicles to be retrieved independently, and which provides system users access to their vehicles without requiring them or others to physically move any other vehicle out of the way. So what this basically is, it's not a lift system where you have to remove vehicles to get to your vehicle. This is a conveyor belt system which shifts vehicles around, and there's always one space open. So your vehicle would be retrieved from that open space. If you were on the top level, say these are 2-level parking structures, it would be the conveyor belt system would bring it back down to the empty position provided, and you would be able to enter your car from that empty spot and drive away. So these mechanical parking systems would be allowed in the RC1 district, the RC2 district, again, the PDD1 and PDD2 districts, which is Suffolk Downs and Wonderland, our general business district, highway business district, which is basically Squire Road, the TED district, and the industrial park district. And they'll all be subject to the review and approval of the site plan review committee. There's a lot of other conditions that we built into this that are safeguards. And, you know, these systems have to comply with our dimensional zoning parking requirements. And they must provide system users grade level access to their vehicles. In addition, the mechanical parking systems have to provide, make sure that the property conforms to the number of required handicap parking spaces and dimensional requirements per code at grade level parking. So in addition to the mechanical parking systems, the grade level parking has to meet code and have the required handicap parking spaces at grade. There would not be handicap parking spaces allowed within these mechanical parking systems. Those handicap spaces have to be provided at grade. So in addition to the handicap parking, into the mechanical parking system, parking spaces, the property must also conform to the number of required handicap, which I indicated. In all mechanical parking system installations must meet all fire safety and building code requirements. These are for elevator systems, which are special code requirements, including safety gates, backup vehicle access system in case of power failure. It must pass installation and operational inspections and tests as required by federal and state regulations. And finally, to qualify for a building permit, the mechanical parking systems and supplier and property owners must file with the Revere Inspectional Service Department the signed mechanical parking system performance and maintenance agreement. And the performance and maintenance agreement is basically to make sure these systems operate and function in a safe manner and are inspected and have periodic repairs, and to ensure that all users have access to their vehicles upon activating the system. And, and also provide electronic monitoring by the supplier to identify problems in a reasonable response time to calls regarding system problems. A maintenance schedule for cleaning and servicing the system. And there are a whole host of safeguards that we built into this, designed to protect the users of these systems. And one final thing, they must have a fail-safe system in place that prevents passengers from being trapped in the vehicles after the driver parks the vehicle and say forgets that he has a passenger in there, and the system is activated. And they must also provide a reporting system to the ICD, which is the Inspectional Service Department and Fire Department, each time the system fails. And if it does fail, they have to provide transportation, have a backup transportation plan for system users. So that's it in a nutshell. And again, these systems are very popular in Boston, and you basically would double your amount of parking spaces by having these systems within, and they're only allowed, again, within interior parking structures. So they would not be allowed outside for outside parking. They have to be interior inside parking structures.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Again, I should probably note for the record, as I didn't before, I'm Bob O'Brien. I live at 10 Ocean Avenue in Revere, and I'm Director of Planning and Development for the City of Revere. Again, I support Planning Board approval of this, as I supported favorable action by the City Council. This change in the ordinance really brings up the zoning code to 21st century standards, acknowledging 21st century technology that wasn't even envisioned when the zoning code was originally drawn. In that respect, it's somewhat like what was done for the former NECO property, bringing the standards of the zoning code and the explicit allowances of the zoning code up to 21st century. I would also say that this ordinance reflects the input and feedback of all of the members of the Site Plan Review Committee, besides Frank, obviously, specifically including the police and fire departments, as well as the building commissioner. So it's very thoughtful, it's very complete. It's based on successful implementation of these programs in surrounding communities, primarily Boston, but essentially throughout the country and the world for years past. So I think it's about time that we did it for Revere as well, and I recommend your favorable action on this ordinance.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. Are there any more proponents?
I have a question, but,
Go ahead.
well, Frank, I think you clarified one of my primary questions. So these facilities will only be able to be constructed on indoor parking facilities.
That's correct.
Okay. And secondly, I guess I'll have to go look it up online for my own edification to understand how they work. It sounds interesting, but that was my primary concern. I just didn't want to see these things as an outdoor facility.
Yes. I mean, the city council, it's going to the zoning subcommittee. and they requested a specifications to look at for these systems. We may even schedule for the zoning subcommittee to have somebody from Lift Systems there to give them the PowerPoint presentation of how these actually function and work.
Yeah.
So you have a very good idea.
Commissioner DeVoe, I might suggest in anticipation of that, one good example of this so-called puzzle system is manufactured by City Lifts,
City lifts, okay, thank you.
CITYLIFTS, and I think their website will probably explain it fairly well.
That's great.
And I think that may be the people that we will have explain it to the zoning subcommittee as well.
Yeah, I remember the Kilby Street Garage. It used to be in Boston, you know, the cars used to go in the elevators up and down and all of that stuff. So I'm just trying to envision what this looks like compared to that. All right.
That isn't there anymore, as you know.
I know.
And this is a little more advanced than that.
Yeah, it was like trapezes.
You remember
Hey,
that?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
What happens if this mechanical system breakdowns? The residents have a right to park in the street?
Oh, I don't know. I don't
I'll
know,
answer
Frank.
that. That's part of our requirements that that the property manager provide a plan for storage of these vehicles.
Mhm.
In case this will have to be repaired, the system will have to be repaired from time to time, and the vehicles will have to be removed from the system to undertake those repairs. So as part of the operation and maintenance plan, that they would have to provide us a plan for where those cars would be parked on site while these repairs take place.
The other thing, Commissioner, that I would note is part of the management plan will be timely response so that they cannot leave it in disrepair for any prolonged period of time. Certainly not overnight if that could be avoided. So hopefully, if there is a delay and an inconvenience, it will only be a matter of an hour or two. And in the event of a power failure, you can retrieve your car. You may not be able to put it back up, but it's not as if you're locked out from transportation, even in a power failure.
And
Thank
it's possible, you know, I'd suggest that, you know, and thank you, Aklag, that was a great point. That in the case where there is some sort of a long-term outage with that facility, maybe each operator or each owner of those facilities needs to, at the beginning, establish that they have some sort of a backup location to put these cars when they can't be housed in that facility. And that should be like a requirement before they can do it.
Right.
I do think we also have the advantage of having these facilities operational for quite some time in Boston. So we can use their templates and precedents
Yeah.
for management and maintenance plans.
Yeah, because I'd hate to see one of those facilities in a neighborhood be down for a long period of time and now, you know, there's no parking.
In Boston, that's
Frank?
absolutely intolerable. They really couldn't operate the residence or office without it.
Okay.
So
Any more proponents? Any more questions?
I just have one thing to add, Mr. Chairman. As I'm reading through this, I wrote this to design to be only allowed within parking structures, so for interior parking. And I don't see the language in here, so we're gonna have to add the language that these mechanical parking systems may only be provided within garage structures. I thought I had it in here. I might have, but I can't see it right now. But just in case, when the planning board finally votes their recommendation to the city council, we should add that. Add that to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that when, just make sure that we add, that we want to ensure that that's there. I can't imagine having one of those things outdoors exposed to the elements, but yeah,
Yep, well, you never know.
yeah, you never know.
Have it in there.
Okay. Any more proponents? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close that side. Are there any,
Hello,
Ed, it's all right, Ed. Don't worry. Ed.
No, there's no kids left in my house.
Are there any opponents? I've heard one. Are there any opponents? Hearing none, seeing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. All right, gentlemen, we'll move on now to our regular meeting. All right, Frank?
Yep, so we need approval of previous meeting minutes.
Yeah, I need a motion without reading the minutes, to approve without reading.
I make a
I'll make the
motion.
motion. Oh, sorry, Sal.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Motion approved.
Aye.
Okay, number 2, that's all. Number 3 is the brew pub. What's your pleasure? I need the motion.
I'll make a motion to move that forward.
I'll second it.
Frank, do you have that?
Yeah, so the motion is to make a favorable recommendation to the city council regarding the new definition for a brew pub, and expanded definition for brewery. Got it.
Okay, and on number 4, we have to vote. Did we vote?
No,
Do we need a roll call or is just all in favor?
I'll do a roll call. On the motion by Mr. Amico, second by Mr. DeVoe. Mr. Amico,
Aye, yes.
Mr. Chiroloni? Mr.
I
Chiroloni,
see
still
him,
here.
but I don't hear him.
Mr. Delvecchio is absent. Mr. Desimoni's absent. Mr. DeVoe?
Aye.
Mr. Giovanni's absent. Mr. Limina
Yes.
and Mr. McKenna.
Yes,
Voted so ordered.
okay. Now, number 4. A motion on the recommendation to the city council regarding the mechanical parking systems. And Frank, you want to add something to this?
Yeah, I want to add a condition in there that requires the mechanical parking systems can only be installed within garage structures.
Okay, that's the motion. Anybody second it?
I would second it.
Can we have a
Who
roll
made the
call?
motion? Who made the motion again?
I did.
Okay. Seconded by Mr. DeVoe.
Second, yes.
Okay, on the motion, Mr. Amico,
Aye,
Mr. Chiroloni. He's there. Mr. Delvecchio's absent, Mr. Desimoni's absent, Mr. DeVoe,
Yes.
Mr. Lemonna,
Yes.
and Mr. McKenna.
Yes.
Okay, voted and so ordered. A favorable recommendation will go to the city council with that proposed change.
All right. Can we have a motion? Was there any new business, Frank?
I would just like to indicate that there will be a planning board hearing scheduled for May 19th. You'll be getting notices. I will email it to the members. There's another zoning amendment before the planning board and city council regarding wireless facilities, telecommunication facilities. You'll be getting that package shortly.
Okay. A motion to adjourn?
I'll second it. Or I'll make the motion. Sorry, I know you, I thought you made one, but you can't do one. Yeah.
Anybody second it?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Aye.
Yes.
Meeting is adjourned.
All right.
We meet again.
Ashley, thank you very, very much for
No.
your help.
You're welcome, guys. My pleasure. Meeting went great. So I'm just going to end it right now and have a good day.
All right.
Did
Thank
we
you.
expect
Care,
city
everyone.
council?